大家下午好，欢迎大家来到2022年 GCC 校友分享会。请大家稍作等候，我们的团队正在做最后的技术准备。我们也鼓励在线上参加的各位同学打开摄像头，让我与嘉宾看到你们。在嘉宾分享的过程中，请确保您全程静音，可以先记录下来您的问题，我们的嘉宾将会在最后的问答环节为解答。谢谢合作。本次活动将会在5分钟之内开始。大家下午好，欢迎大家来到2022年的校友职业分享会。我是刘元航，非常荣幸能够作为今天的主持人。首先，非常感谢大家能够参与本次 GCC 的分享会。GCC NUS 是国大商学院的学生俱乐部之一，旨在帮助新加坡国立大学的学生探索中国的各商业领域，拓展未来的全球人脉，分享与中国相关的职业机会。 我们的校友分享会旨在为 NUS 学生群体与知名企业提供建立连接的渠道。活动将涵盖4个不同的领域：金融、咨询、供应链与科技。我们希望通过本次活动能够扩大国大学子的视野，帮助他们了解各大新兴行业。通过这个活动，我们也希望同学们可以对未来的职业规划以及发展产生更深刻的认知，在求职道路上崭露头角。同时，也希望同学们可以通过这个机会与业内的出色校友建立联系。那么话不多说，让我们正式开始本次分享的第一个板块——金融与咨询吧。众所周知，金融与咨询行业近年来在亚洲地区发展迅猛，已经成为众多同学们的理想求职方向。今年9月，新加坡已经成为世界第3大金融中心，作为许多顶尖金融机构和咨询公司在亚洲业务的一个桥头堡，这无疑为同学们提供了广阔的求职空间。可是，在求职过程中，充分的行业了解、精准的自我定位与相关的职业经验都十分重要。我们今天非常荣幸能够请到在金融和咨询领域的3位校友，为我们分享他们的经验建议。首先，让我们先欢迎来自 Accuracy 公司的嘉宾邵坤学长为大家进行分享。Accuracy 是一家独立的国际咨询公司，总部设在法国巴黎。目前，公司在全世界的13个国家和地区均开展了业务，主营交易支持与咨询、企业恢复服务、诉讼与仲裁、经济学与商业分析和高级分析等业务。从公司成立以来 ，Accuracy 已经向市场证明了它的专业与潜力，同时也致力于招募有着不同文化背景的咨询顾问。今天我们很荣幸邀请了邵坤学长。邵坤学长目前在 Accuracy 担任分析员，他于今年6月份毕业于国大土木工程系，曾经也在基建公司 AECOM 实习，参与到了 MRT-CR 117站的设计进程中。那我们现在有请邵坤学长为我们分享。
大家好呀，大家能听到我说话吗？能听到吗？大家
哦，我这边好像声音有点不太清晰。
不太清晰吗？大家是能听到的吗？
OK， 现在可以了。
可以了。行，那我就开始我的分享啦。大家好，我是邵坤，就是毕业于国大工程的土木专业，就今年刚刚毕业，其实也是个职场新人呐，就工作才4个月，就只是来分享一下我之前的找工作一些心得吧，还有就是国际仲裁这个行业，就希望对大家有所帮助。然后我接下来的部分应该大多会用英语 present，就希望大家可以是 OK 的。对，so my sharing will be 3 parts for my sharing. So we start with the introduction to my company, Accuracy, and followed by project dispute and arbitration, which is the part I'm doing, and also the key skills required to be analytics in Accuracy and the recruitment process. The questions we could leave it at a later part for the Q&A session. And so about Accuracy. So we are a company founded in French back 20 years ago. And so right now we have 17 offices across 13 countries. And so something special. So our business is mainly focused in consulting, financing, strategy, and transaction. Means we help companies to buy over one another, and also the part I'm doing, the arbitration and disputes. And in Asia, right now we have four offices: Beijing, Hong Kong, Singapore, and India. And something special about Accuracy is that we work together with other offices. So for example, we could have a project coming from Hong Kong, and they require resource or manpower in Singapore, and we will form a team from both offices, and we work together. So for example, for me right now, I'm working on this project in Vietnam, disputes on our construction projects, and at the same time, I have a colleagues from London working with me, and at the same time, I'm working with our office in Dubai for another project. So unlike other companies, they will have competitions between office. They'll count the growth and revenues separately, but in accuracy, you are actually working for the entire global team. So this is the areas that we are providing. This is the expertise and areas services we provide to our clients. That includes expert winners, financial analytics, data scientists, and also transaction experts. So for whoever is interested in our company, this is the areas you can look into. And this is the clients we have. We are corporate clients such as Airbus, Apple, Amazon, and we have investment firms like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and especially we work with law firms for disputes and arbitration. So we have law firms like Baker and McKenzie, Butts and Butts. So we work very closely with our partners and clients. And so now I will talk about the roles I'm doing, project disputes and arbitration. So in a typical arbitration process, of course, we have dispute parties, which is our clients. So usually in a construction disputes, which I'm focusing on, we have two parties. Usually they are the developers and contractors. So both of them, they will appoint an arbitrator individually, and the two arbitrators, they will appoint the third arbitrator, and three of them, they will form the tribunal. And at the same time, our client, they will hire lawyers and expert winners, which is us. So for lawyers, usually in a construction disputes, it's not much of legal debates because it's all by facts. We have this construction activities supposed to be done maybe today, but because of delay issues, it was done next month. So it's all about fact finding. So for lawyers, they will help with the legals and contracts, and they will work together with us, the expert winners, and they will cross-examine the expert winners in the other party. And for us, the expert winners, we are to investigate the facts of the entire construction project, because usually a construction project, it will take years, and it consists of maybe a thousands of different activities to be done, and these activities, they are linked to one another, and to find out the actual delays caused by which party is quite tricky sometimes. And so what we will provide at the end, for example, for a construction project supposed to be done in five years, but due to the delays and disputes, it could finish after 8 years or 10 years. So after the analyzation and findings, investigation, we will provide a conclusion like maybe for these 3 years of delay, maybe the 25 months is caused by the contractor, and the rest is caused by a developer. And we are the ones who decide how much is to claim. For example, with 25 months of responsibility from the contractor, maybe client have to pay another $100 million to the contractor. So we have to investigate and decide the amount and calculate the amount to be claimed and for the compensation also. But at the same time, the other party, they may not agree, because we said it's 25 months, but the experts from the other party, they could say, oh, it's only 12 months. So we may pay 13 million at max. So we have to provide a solid and clear finding to the tribunal and be questioned by the lawyers from both sides. And at the end, the judges, they will decide they want to they want to buy which story, and this is what we do in the arbitration process as an expert witness. And this is the expert witness we have. This is our big partner, our big boss. So he has 19 years of experience. So it's a little bit like law firms. You know, lawyers and lawyers, they are quite different. For big lawyers, famous lawyers, they'll be on a court and they will be debating on court and present everything to the clients, to the judges. But small lawyers, you will be helping the big lawyers to find out what is the issues, and this is what our team is doing. So this is my colleagues and my senior manager. So we are ready to take out from all those documents, thousands of documents, millions of pages, to find out what is the critical events, critical delays. So usually, but of course, the expert witness, he will give his directions, and from his experience, he know which delays is worth to fight for, because usually in construction projects, you may have a few or 10, 20 different delays, and some delays is you cannot fight for, it's your fault. Yeah, your fault you cannot fight for. But some is a bit tricky at both sides, and he will tell you, and our expert witness will tell you, oh, this is worth for more investigation. We could have more compensations from this claim. So he will tell us the directions from his experience, and our team is to find out the details of this delay. And so next part is the key skills accuracy as an analytics. So it's as an entry level analytics. 所以我尝试切换成中文，是不是能够用中文表达一下？就虽然我才入职才4个月吧，但我就大概就是自己归类跟总结了一些需要的技能吧。因为我觉得大概是有2+1个部分吧，就一个是就你需要大量的阅读，因为真的文件很多，然后包括他们的什么，比如说他们互相的往来的 email， 然后工程记录，然后会议记录，像在一个工程在进行的时候，每天可能都有几十封这样的文件的往来，那你想想，可能一个工程那个有几年，至少3年5年，那这样的文件真的是堆积如山，然后同时还有他们一些设计的软件设计的图纸，还有一些其他的一些各种各样的工程文件跟软件，然后你就需要去真的是在从里面去爬出一些有用的信息，一些重要的信息，一些去足以支持你想要就是那个调查方向的一些证据，然后所以你要需要大量的阅读 ，so you have to be able to read and write quickly。然后接下来就是你的那个一些比较硬的实力，硬的就是比较硬的一些那个技能吧，但也比较就是一些使用那个 Excel 的技能，就因为有大量的那个文件，你需要把这些文件然后转换到那个 Excel 的表格来，就可能它有几十个不同的表格，有不同的事件，然后这个事件有不同的角度去分析它，然后你需要把它整理成表格，再把这些表格做成那个图形，就图形就比较容易看懂，然后再做成 PPT。那 PPT 的话，就作为像我这样的一个刚入行的一个分析员，就是我要把这些做成 PPT， 去给我的领导看。我领导看懂了，他会根据他的经验觉得这个东西好像我们可以再进行去一些调查，再去研究一下，然后他不断的反馈，然后他觉得 OK 了，就大概这个阶段的工作完成了，他会再去给那个我们的大领导看，就是 expert witness， 他根据他的经验觉得这个 finding 很好，我们应该可以再继续找一下，或者说我们这个证据我们可以用来去支持另外一个事件的证据，然后他会给出他的经验，那我们再继续重复整个过程，然后最后我们会出一个可能有个几百页的 expert report， 然后去提交给我们的客户，然后同时我们的 expert witness 就是专家证人，中文应该叫这样子叫，然后他会出庭，然后去接受就是那个仲裁员跟对方律师的咨询，然后呈现证据，然后可能也会有一些就是一些辩论吧，因为对方可能说我们只需要赔3000万，但我们这边说你们要赔7000万，然后就进行这方面证据的一些 那个辩论，然后所以大家需要就是不断的归纳与总结，然后化繁为简的一种能力，然后去把一个故事讲清楚，就是这个工程事件的前因后果，然后你要不断去把这个故事讲清楚，因为在法庭上就是法官他们不会就是仲裁员们他们不会对任何不清楚的东西做出判断，你一定要把这个事情讲得很清楚，然后他们才会觉得这个是可行，他们才会make他们的 judgment。就如果你可能这个点确实可能，比如说可能这个事故可能确实是对方的问题，但是因为你没有讲清楚，那法官并不会给你这个 credit。所以这是我归纳总结出一个比较初级的一个初级分析员所需要的技能，就是大量的阅读分析，然后还有就是那个 Excel 的表格跟 PPT 的的制作，还有就是你要去慢慢的开始自己去发现哪一些东西是有问题的，就你真的做多了之后，你会发现这个，比如说这个事件，你会觉得这个地方是有点 tricky， 你可以去跟你的领导沟通，这个我们是不是可以再去了解一下？然后当然这些我也不是一开始就有，我是进去之后就慢慢学，然后领导手把手教的。然后再来就是我们的 recruitment process，我们还有时间吗？
有的。
有的就是我们的 recruitment process， 如果大家有兴趣的话，就是可以欢迎把简历投给我，或者是直接投给我们公司的网站，在这边。然后我们的 recruitment 大概是有4轮吧，4轮，然后4轮的样子。那我之前是做了5轮，像我第一轮是 video 面，就是跟我的领导面试，就是了解一下双方的意愿。然后第2轮就是去公司线下面，就是问一些比较typical 的 interview questions。然后第3轮就是有一个小 case， 就一个 case 吧，就是大概有1个半小时的 case， 你要去做一些就相当于一个小考试吧，1个半小时左右。然后再来是，然后因为我之前我当时我是申请的是那个我特别 highlight 了我的那个Python 的 skill， 所以因为我们公司有 Python 的的部门，所以当时我还面了一个就是在伦敦的他们的Python 部门的领导，然后最后第5轮就是跟我们公司的 partner 聊天，就是他会跟你说一下我们公司的一些战略方向呀，我们以后想干嘛呀，你自己有什么职业规划呀，就可以跟你聊一下这些。然后5轮完之后就给 offer 这样。然后我们现在是比较缺人的，就如果有兴趣的同学们可以投，就至少就我们公司其实是主营业务就是金融就做仲裁跟纠纷是比较小的一块吧。就我们然后就是如果背景是商科或者是金融或者是 accounting 之类的同学，可以去试一下我们的 finance 部门，他们现在也确实是在招挺多人的。然后但是我不确定他们需要多少人，但是我们在仲裁这边的，就建筑国际工程仲裁这边的，我们真的很缺人，至少缺3个人。然后大家如果真的有兴趣，那如果你的背景是土木工程，或者是说项目管理之类的背景，欢迎投递。然后我的分享就到这边，然后谢谢主持人。
谢谢。谢谢学长干货满满的分享，然后也请对 accuracy 这个以及国际仲裁这个领域有兴趣的同学们，然后在本次分享会接下来私联邵坤学长，然后去交换意愿。谢谢学长的分享，想必大家在听完分享后，对于行业内部都有了更深刻的了解，然后我也是在此次分享收获了很多。那么现在让我们邀请来自 IA 公司的嘉宾 Mr. Paul Chi 来为大家进行分享。可以先请邵坤学长 stop 一下 screen share 吗？我们这边接下来接着 share。 好的，好的，谢谢。OK，我们现在邀请来自 AIA 公司的嘉宾 Mr. Paul Chi 来为大家进行分享。AIA Singapore 成立于1931年，是新加坡保险投资行业的领头羊。那么，友邦公司在过去的91年里，一直在为新加坡的居民和家庭提供着健康保障和理财服务。到现在已经成为了上千员工的大公司，在新加坡的保险行业里有着举足轻重的影响力。我们的校友 Mr. Paul Chi 是在05年毕业于国大的政治科学系，他一直深耕于新加坡的金融服务行业，有着超过20年的丰富经验。现在在友邦公司担任理财顾问经理，也是 MDRT 100万圆桌会议的会员之一。同时 ，Mr. Chi 也在 Bridge Consultancy Company 担任执行董事，为个人客户提供着投资理财的服务。那么，我们现在有请 Mr. Chi 为我们进行分享。
嗨，大家下午好，你们听到我讲话吗？
可以的，可以的。
可以的，好我是 Bear Consultancy 的执行董事齐天明谢谢 GCC 的邀请今天我会主要以英语来和大家分享请见谅如果你们有任何问题，可以在等会的 Q&A 发问，或者到我们的社交媒体和我们联系。好，我就开始了。对不起这里有些状况。好。Okay, so once again, I'm Paul. I graduated from NUS in political science in 2001. I started in NUS in 2001, right? And I started in the financial planning business as a freshie in my year one. And I have been in this line for more than 20 years. So today's I'll be sharing more about financial consultancy business and what we do as financial consultants and what Bedrock Consultancy can provide. So let's jump right in. Okay, so who are we at Bedrock Consultancy? So Bedrock Consultancy, we are involved in financial consultation and coordination of financial services for our clients. Our clients are both individuals, families, as well as companies. Right. When people hear the word financial planning, usually people would think of insurance or investments. We at Bedrock Consultancy, we know that financial planning is so much more than just insurance or investments. So let me give you an example. Let me illustrate for you. Now, imagine your life as a beautiful scenery, right? Now, financial planning or financial coordination is like a picture that you take of this scenery called life. How perfect the picture depends on the camera and the skill of the photographer. The camera and its various functions and modes represent the tools and services that Bedrock Consultancy provides and coordinates. For example, the lens of the camera may be your personal risk management. The shutter speed adjuster may be your mortgage planning. Legacy planning may be represented by the size of the camera aperture. Right? All the parts of the camera must be top quality. Moreover, all the different parts must work together properly to produce the best results. So at Bedrock Consultancy, we believe in the uniqueness of every client. So our camera isn't on auto mode. Every client is unique to us, and there's no such thing as one size fit all. So having a good camera is only half of the story, right? Even more important is having a knowledgeable photographer, so-called photographer, who understands the needs of our clients and who has the skill to coordinate all the different services. Now, the Bedrock consultant is such a person. As you can see, our consultants don't just deal with insurance or investments. We coordinate the full range of financial services for our clients, from insurance to investments, to estate planning, to business planning, to property, to mortgage loans, etc., etc. So to do proper financial planning, we need the expertise of other professionals. such as lawyers, for example, wills and trusts, or even other property consultants or mortgage planners. So Bedrock Consultancy has already linked up with all these other trusted professionals. Now, these are people that we have been working with for many years and are trustworthy, so that we can give our clients the services that they need throughout their lives. So as a Bedrock consultant, how does Bedrock Consultancy support our consultants? So what can people who come in as consultants expect from Bedrock Consultancy? So number one, systematic training program. We provide a systematic training program for our consultants. So when someone comes in, starts off as a normal financial consultant, and then move on to become a Bedrock consultant, and finally to a senior Bedrock consultant. So along the way, our consultants will also take up industry and internationally recognized accolades, such as the CFP, Certified Financial Planner, CHFC, Chartered Financial Consultant, etc., etc. All right. Now, number two, personal branding. Now, we help our consultants in their personal branding and marketing. So we give them a professional photo shoot, we do video recording for them, and we help them with their social media presence as well. Now, number three, we position them as experts. All right. So we help them to organize, for example, if there are certain topics that they are interested in, we help to organize webinars for them to stand out, for them to present, right, to brand themselves as experts in those areas. So we give them the logistical support. We help them to organize all these things to put them at the forefront so that they can reach out to more people, to their clients. Number four, we organize various activities and networking opportunities for consultants to know more people, to grow their business. And finally, family culture and support. So here at Bedrock Consultancy, it's not just about work. We provide a family culture where every member is valued. We work together and help each other out. Although it can be me going out talking to my client as one person, but here we work together as a team. So what we do to foster this bonding is that once a month, we have a monthly gathering, just to go out and play, to eat, to foster a closer relationship. You can check out our activities or what we have done at our YouTube channel or maybe even our IG page. So what can you expect as a Bedrock consultant? Okay, number one, independence, 独立. You can be in charge of your life. You can decide, you have the power to decide when you want to work, because this is not a 9-to-5 kind of a job. You go out, you meet your clients, you help people, you do the consultation work with people, right? So some of our consultants, sometimes you don't even need to come in one time in, you don't even need to come in every day to office, right? You're out there meeting clients, helping people. And what this means is that you can have the power to bring together your work and your life in harmony. You don't have to miss out again on family, friends, hobbies, or other opportunities when you join us. So you have the independence. Number two, invigorate. 活跃振奋. So what is this? You energize your work life, you create your own success story as a specialist or move into management. So you have a choice whether you want to be a specialist or you want to move into management. And you're joining a team that works, that plays and celebrates every success together. Income, 收入. Now, for income, it's really up to you how much you want to earn. You can choose your reward and you see your efforts pay off. For example, the more effort you put in, the more people you do the consultation work with, the more people you help, the more you will make. So the sky's the limit. There's no limit on how much you can earn. In fact, some of our fresh graduates are earning 5-10 times more than their friends. So this is very possible and it's happening right now. So the more we persevere, the more we help people, the more we put in our effort, the more we make. So our efforts are rewarded. And finally, impact. 影响力。So it's not all about sales or consulting or doing the work, right? It's also about making an impact in people's lives. So we make a difference by giving the right advice to people, by helping them to coordinate the services that they need throughout their lives. And we are the coordinators and directors of our clients' financial lives. So this is very fulfilling for me. Every day that I wake up, every day I go out and meet people, every person that I meet, I know that I'm helping that person, I'm making that person's life a little bit better. So to summarize, our job at Bedrock Consultancy is front-end, client-facing consulting. We are not just normal financial planners. We coordinate and direct our clients' financial lives. You know, our team is young, is dynamic, and we are looking for driven young people who are interested in not just making good money, but also want to be involved in something of purpose. What we are offering is not a job. It's a business opportunity to partner with us. Yes, we are aggressively expanding, but we do not just anyhow take in people, right? Because we invest heavily in our people, we invest time, we invest resources, we invest money even. An example is myself and my senior consultants. We accompany all our new colleagues for every appointment that they have until they are confident enough to conduct it in themselves. So even after then, most of my consultants, they work together in pairs. So that's the kind of commitment we have for every member that we bring in. So when people join us, they don't just join a company, they join a family of like-minded people with a goal to bring value to the world. So if you think that you have what it takes to face the challenges and excitement of the financial planning career, if you feel that you have what it takes to be part of this Bedrock family, you can visit us at our website or scan the QR code to get in touch with us. You know, we really hope to get to know more of you better. So 再一次谢谢 GCC 的邀请，我们希望可以和你们进一步的联系，也希望 Bedrock Consultancy 可以在你们之后的日子帮到你们。好，谢谢。
谢谢 Mr. Chi 的分享。然后，假如有对 Bedrock Consultancy 或者说 Consultancy 这个行业有心动的同学，快点去可以扫码或者去社交媒体去了解更多。好，再次感谢 Mr. Chi。接下来的话，让我们邀请来自 Capita 公司的 Jax 学长和我们讲讲他的从业感受和经验。Capita 公司成立于2019年，是一家蕴含相当大潜力的 FinTech 公司。Capita 目前为印度尼西亚、新加坡和印度的客户提供服务，然后重点是初创企业。其软件平台帮助私营公司数字化和管理资本表，进行尽职调查，并向员工发行股权。目前也已经收获了多家风投基金的投资。今天我们非常幸运地邀请到了来自 Capita 公司的 Jax 学长，他于19年毕业于国大商学院的工商管理专业，主修金融方向。他曾经在多家的资本公司担任过分析师，现在就职于 Capita Founders Office， 并担任 Head of Operations 一职。同时 Jax 学长也在软件开发上面有丰富的经验，他曾经参与开发过实物配送软件。让我们欢迎 Jax 学长。不好意思，我们这边出现了一些技术问题 ，Jax 学长目前没有办法加入我们的会议和我们进行分享。那我们现在的话，先进入到很多同学们都期待已久的抽奖环节吧。抽奖环节的规则是这样的，大家可以先在屏幕的下方打开 Zoom Chat Box 的聊天框。当我数到3的时候，大家可以在聊天框里把我爱 GCC 刷起来，然后最快发出我爱 GCC 的前4名同学将优先获得与嘉宾进行 resume consultation 的机会。 在分享结束后，你可以把自己的 resume 发给嘉宾，然后获得第一手的简历咨询。那么现在就请大家打开自己 Zoom 的聊天框。大家准备好了吗？假如准备好的话，当我数到3的时候，就请大家把我爱 GCC 刷起来吧。1、2、3，快点，快点，快点！大家手速都好快啊！好的，好的，谢谢大家的踊跃参与。我们待会儿将把前4名同学的截图发在聊天框里。我们前4名的同学有陈志同学，然后这个名称叫 Holiday 的这个同学，还有董月同学和严杰同学。不好意思，因为是拼音，所以说不太清楚就大家真实的这个名字什么的。让我们恭喜这4名同学。然后现在请这4位同学扫描一下屏幕上的二维码，然后联系我们的 GCC 小助手，或者通过 Zoom Chat 可以与这个 GCC 小助手的账号私联，然后选择你意向交流的嘉宾进行咨询。OK， 我们先给这4位同学1、2分钟的时间，让他们能和我们的 GCC 小助手联系上。而在抽奖环节之后呢，就让我们先进入第2轮的分享会。科技与供应链作为新兴行业，近年来的蓬勃发展，无疑是吸引到了很多同学们的目光。而对于希望未来成为行业一员的同学们来说，能够在纷繁复杂的信息中更准确地把握行业的要求，也成为了相当重要的一环。今天我们非常幸运，请到了2位学姐来和我们分享他们的经验见闻。首先来和我们分享的是来自宝洁公司的赵月学姐。宝洁公司相信大家都不陌生，是全世界最大的日用品消费公司之一。它旗下的产品也涉及到了家居、洗护、个人护理等等领域，有着我们很多耳熟能详的品牌。而同时，不仅仅是宝洁，整个快消行业也因为其蓬勃增长的活力，得到了很多同学们在求职方面的青睐。今天我们邀请到的赵月学姐毕业于国大工商管理和经济学的双学位专业，现在就职于宝洁公司，担任 Process Manager 一职。她有着丰富的实习经验，除了宝洁外，曾经还在通用电气担任了金融实习生。那现在让我们有请赵学姐来为我们分享吧。
Hello， 大家好，谢谢主持人的介绍。大家可以听得到我的声音吗？
可以，可以。
好。然后我这边准备了一个比较简单的一个 PPT， 然后就跟大家分享一下我的经验啊什么的。然后可以让我知道你们可以看得到我的 PPT 吗？
可以的，没问题。
好，谢谢。所以就是首先我先做一个比较简单的自我介绍。我叫赵月，然后呢，我是去年5月份，也就是2021年从国大毕业的。然后我是econ跟经济的，我是econ和商学院的 DDP， 然后经济方面主修的是财务与金融，然后商科的话是主修的供应链与运营管理。然后我也是 USP 的 Alumni， 然后我因为学了2个专业嘛，或者说2个本科学位，所以其实选择就业的时候，包括做实习的时候，也有挺多选择的，因为既有财务方面的，又有供应链运营方面的。然后呢，我现在目前呢，我已经工作了差不多有1年半的时间了。然后我现在在宝洁，就是 Procter & Gamble。 然后呢，我在SK-II 这个品牌工作，可能大家很多人都不知道 SK-II 其实是属于宝洁的一个牌子，然后我也不知道大家里面有没有人用过 SK-II。但是呢，我是给 SK-II 工作的，然后我是专门负责免税零售，也就是你们在免税店啊、机场里面看到的那些 SK-II 都是由我们组来负责供货的。然后呢，这个是我现在的正职工作，然后我之前也有过比较多零零散散的实习经验，就是我一开始也在那个建屋局，就是 HDB 做过实习，是差不多6个月的时间，是做那个数据分析。然后呢，我自己也兼职在一个 consulting， 就是做咨询的公司，做那个市场调研和咨询的公司做翻译。然后呢，我就像主持人刚刚介绍的一样，我也在通用电气做过财务的实习生。然后呢，最后一份实习就是在宝洁做的供应链的实习。然后我被给了转正的那个 offer， 然后我就拿了那个 offer， 然后就是现在就在宝洁了。这个是我的一个比较简单的一个个人情况。然后呢，我就是主办方找到我的时候有说过，就是希望我能分享一下，我是怎么找我的工作实习的，然后有没有一些比如说什么 tips 可以分享给大家。所以呢，我就把我的想法总结成了4个部分。然后呢，就是第一个是关于渠道，然后第二个其实就是个人的材料的准备，然后第3个就是关于线上以及或者是说那些考核啊、测试啊什么，然后最后一个部分是面试。所以呢，我们可以一个一个来讲。就是首先的部分，我的话就是说我知道现在可能情况不一样了，但是我在念书的时候呢，BIS 有自己的一个 BIS Simplicity 的一个平台，然后Econs 或者是 FASS 那边有一个 Talent Connect 的平台，然后我相信现在可能是2个已经合并成一个了，但是我主要的实习渠道和工作渠道还是通过这个上面找的。然后呢，它主要就是说会专业比较对口，然后呢会有很多很多的那个机会，然后你不太需要再去做背调啊或者筛查什么的，因为学校这边给你提供的平台上面，它一定是会放比较可靠的公司啊之类的。所以呢，我基本上所有的实习都是在这2个上面找的。就是他每周都会发邮件嘛，就像垃圾邮件一样，每天都发，每个礼拜都发。然后呢，所以呢，就是说，就是我那个时候在这个上面申请的还是比较多的，所以这个其实就是我的主要渠道。然后第2个呢，就是一些个人的资料，其实就是2个部分，一个就是简历，另外一个是 cover letter。简历的部分的话，我觉得其实就是我根据自己申请的每一份工作，我会稍微小改动一下我的简历，因为我想把一些关键词啊什么的全部都更换成跟那个 JD 比较符合的关键词。然后呢，就是比较多用一些就是说主语动词，就是全部要 active， 就是你干了什么什么什么，你干了什么什么什么。然后呢，然后也加上一些可量化的结果，比如说什么减少了50%的资源，或者是说增加了多少的收益，就是说涵盖一些可量化的结果。这样子呢，在简历筛选的时候，你会你的简历会更容易出跳一些。然后再加上很多大单位，像宝洁，我们第1轮的这个简历提交其实根本不是人审的，它是个机器，是个电脑在那里审，然后它就是会去抓关键词。所以呢，你就是一定要有关键词，这样子确保你不会在初筛的时候就被刷掉。然后呢，就是软技能和硬技能2个部分。然后呢，就是我其实还放了不少的篇幅在我的就是学校方面，就是除工作经历以外，学校方面的一些活动。像我一开始原本是 NUS， 然后呢是旗下的一个组织叫 Global Relations Unit， 然后是专门就是我也承办过类似像 GCC 这样的大会啦，在我还是学生的时候。所以这些活动都是你可以写在你简历上面的，因为它可以很好的体现出你的软技能，包括沟通、协调和那个团队合作之类的。然后然后呢，这个也是到时候你去面试的时候，你的面试官会很着重，或者说是你的面试官非常感兴趣的一个点。所以呢，这个也是可以强调的一个部分。然后最后一个呢，其实就是一些比较就是 generic 的硬技能。就比如说你会说不同的语言，比如说像我的话，我还额外会说德语和韩语，所以就是如果是有比较硬的 coding 的技术 SQL、Python， 然后或者是说一些数据可视化的那个软件，比如说 Power BI、Tableau、SASVA 这种你都可以写。然后我其实有一份实习就是因为我写了这个人家才要我了的。然后呢，就是说这个是简历的部分。 然后 cover letter 呢，其实并不是每一个工作都要写的，但是我通常情况下呢，就是说如果有要求要写 cover letter， 我一定会写。然后呢，这个也主要就是讲一下，无非就是讲2点。第一点就是为什么你想要这份工作，或者你想要进这个公司。然后第2点的话，就是告诉那个读你 cover letter， 或者是说你的面试官为什么他们就是他们要你，而不是要别人。也就是说，你要着重的阐述一下你为什么适合这个岗位，以及你相较于其他的跟你同样竞争的人来说，你的出挑的点在哪里。其实你只要抓住了这3个点，其实你的 cover letter 的问题就不大了。然后呢，这个就是我想关于就是个人资料的部分，想跟大家分享的一些东西。然后呢，第3个部分呢就是 assessment。其实 assessment 的话，我这边拿的比较多的就是像P&G 的那个保洁的那个招聘流程啦，所以我们会有一个类似于叫做 online assessment 的部分。然后 online assessment 部分呢，其实它就分两个部分，一个就是做题。就是他会给你出一些数学题、逻辑题，然后或者是考你记忆力的之类的了。然后呢，这个你其实网上可以搜，它都有量题。然后像我知道很多其他公司也是用这样的题的，像4大的那几个会计师事务所，包括几个 consulting 的公司，它都是用这个的。然后这个东西其实就是多练练就行。然后网上是有的题可以刷的。然后呢，我能给的建议其实不太多，就刷题。然后你就是做的时候，你可以准备好纸和笔。我觉得就是说，你有时候好记性不如烂笔头，你还是写下来比较不容易忘记。所以做题的时候，你有个纸笔打草稿也是不错的。然后呢，那个之后呢，还会有一个叫做 online interview， 就是说它也是个面试，但是你是自己录那个面试，比如说2分钟、3分钟，他会给你一个问题。然后呢，这个地方呢，就是说，他一般不会问你技术性很强的，都是一些很 generic 的问题，就是比如说你强项是什么，弱项是什么，然后你请告诉我一个你自己解决了一个特别难解决的问题的时候，就是他基本上会问这样的问题。所以这样的问题其实我个人觉得它是有套路可言的，就是你自己平时有一些积累的时候，你可以把这些小故事先准备好。然后呢，你在准备好的时候呢，你就可以提前就等于预演好了。这样子你要说的时候呢，你就想好自己要说几点。然后呢，你在录屏的时候把这几点通顺的说出来，因为你可以提前准备嘛，所以你可以练习自己的话术，包括自己想要表达的什么东西，然后你也甚至可以提前写下来，然后你找你信得过的，比如说辅导员呐，让他们先过一下。然后呢，在这样的情况下的话，你其实就不用过于紧张这些测试的东西了。然后另外一个就是 online assessment 包含的部分其实就是一个 psychometric， 就是有点像性格测试的。就他问的问题就有点像大家做的那个16型人格 MBTI， 有点就是在这样的情况下，你到底是属于左边还是右边，非常同意非常不同意。然后呢，我相信大家应该都知道，就是说这种测试你其实可以，就是说你知道怎么样回答可以让你有一个怎样的个性。比如说你是个很内向的人，但是你要偏向自己外向型，你可以全部答在另一个极端，就是说是可以这样做的。然后我相信大家也看得出来该怎么做可以达到你要的那个效果。但是我个人的建议就是说，我不太建议你就是说刻意迎合或者刻意塑造一个 MBTI 或者刻意塑造一个性格出来。很大的原因就是说，这个测试其实它并不是说来测你，比如说他们想找一个他们确实是想找一个特殊样式的人，但是很大情况下这些测试其实是为了看你跟那个公司文化呀、背景啊和那个氛围气场是不是合。如果你自己选，就是说你故意选了一个答案，然后呢其实并不是很真实的代表你自己的话，你到时候进了公司进了组里面，你还是会觉得哎呀格格不入啊，很难适应啊什么的。然后你到时候如果你再去找工作啊，重新来啊什么，我觉得那个时候的成本会比较大。你不如在之前的时候你就很真实的把自己的想法写一下，或者是说把自己的真实性格体现出来，这样你也可以知道这个公司到底是适合你还是不适合你。然后呢我觉得前期来讲的话就是成本也不是很大。然后这个就是我想讲的第3部分。然后最后一个部分呢其实就是面试的部分了。然后面试的部分呢，像保洁的话是有3轮，然后呢你都是会1对1或者1对2这样的面试。然后呢我自己在面试之前呢会做一点小功课，我会自己有一个小小的一个 document， 像我会开一个 Word 写一些东西，就是说我会首先了解一下公司的历史、愿景、mission， 然后他的一些价值观啊什么的，因为这些东西呢，你可以在面试的时候，你可以把你要讲的东西扯到这个上面来。比如说，你为什么想要进这个公司？你可以讲说啊，因为你觉得它跟你的价值观很符，或者是说你们有一样的愿景和期望。那么在这样的话，你就有比较多东西来讲。然后你同时也可以给你的考官一种你对这个公司很了解，或者是说你花了很多功夫去了解这个公司，来体现你很想进这个公司的诚意。然后呢，第二个呢，就是肯定关于你自己申请的岗，你要做一些研究。比如说像我的话，供应链的岗，那么我肯定要有一些供应链上面的知识，包括比如说什么inventory 啦，或者是说比如说哪一些做 inventory forecasting 的 model 啊之类的，这些就是说比较就跟你岗相关的东西，你这个肯定是要做一些功课的。然后呢，第三点呢，是一个我个人会干的东西，就是有时候你会知道你会提前知道你的面试官是谁，至少保洁会告诉你的面试官是谁。然后呢，我会小小的人肉一下我的面试官，就是比如说在领英啊，或者是在 Facebook 上面搜一下他们，然后知道一下他们的过去的从业背景，或者是说现在在做什么岗。然后呢，因为在这样的情况下呢，你可以我怎么讲呢？就是你更好的你可以讲到对他路子的东西上面去。然后呢，或者是说因为我相信大家都知道，就是面试最后会有一个就是说，哎，你有没有什么东西想问我？就是你需要给面试官提问，有时候会有这样的问题嘛。然后呢，我这个时候呢，我就会根据我给面试官做的一些背调啊什么的，我来提问。比如说，我有问过我的面试官，就是说，哎，比如说他是学化工专业的，然后但是他现在在做供应链相关的东西，然后我就会说，哎，感觉那个化工好像跟这个差距比较远，然后您为什么是会想做这方面的工作的？然后呢，就是说这样子的，就话题也不干，然后呢，你也不会说没有问题要问，最后就很尴尬的就撂那儿了。所以呢，我觉得这个也是一个可以有用的地方啦。然后呢，最后一个就是像我刚刚说的一样，就是说那个他一般会着重的向你提问的地方，就是根据你简历上面写的一些东西，因为简历很简短，就一页纸，所以他也听不到什么过多的干货和内容，然后过多的会在面试的时候里面问，所以同样的那些不管是你过去的工作经验，还是说你是在学校里面学校的活动啊什么的，那些小故事你都可以提前准备好，无非就是3个点，你干了什么，取得了什么样的结果，以及你自己所从这个事件当中得到的反省是什么。在这个地方反省可以就是说可以是好的，也可以是不好的，就是你觉得你自己什么做对了，学到了什么，做得很好，然后或者是说你也可以说我觉得我这个地方做得不够好，还有可以进步的空间，这些都可以讲。因为你其实就是在向你的面试官展示你自己的一个自我反思、自我思辨的一个能力，所以这个也是很重要的。然后最后一个部分我想讲的呢，其实就是assessment center AC 的部分，因为我也有参加过一些银行的面试，然后是有参加过 AC 的。然后呢，其实 AC 的部分呢，因为它是一个很大规模的东西，就是你会有很多人，然后你会有很多竞争对手。然后呢，通常情况下会提前24小时或者48小时给你发一些 AC 所要用的阅读材料啊什么之类的。然后呢，这个东西的话，理论上来说呢，我的想法就是说，你还是要仔细的通读阅读一下，然后这样子会比较好。然后呢，然后你要注意那种小字，就是那种比如说放在那种尾页 footnotes 的那种小字儿，通常那种就是魔鬼就藏在细节里面。所以呢，这些东西你要通读一下就会比较好。然后基本上 AC 的情况呢，它会是那种就是说它是一个角色扮演，就是你可能会拿到一个，比如说你们可能是代表不同国家市场的人，你可能拿到，比如说你是代表缅甸的。然后可能其他跟你的竞争的人，他可能拿到的是什么越南、新加坡不同市场的那些材料，你其实可以通过自己的阅读材料来解析，或者你可以猜其他人的阅读材料是什么。我至少是这样做的了，因为我的 AC 的环节里面有一些就是说相当于一个大的 meeting， 每一个 market 的那个头大家聚在一起要有一个结论出来，所以你其实可以通过事先阅读你自己的材料来推敲一下，诶，别人可能大概手里的材料是什么，然后他们的底线会是什么，然后这样子你在做 negotiation 的时候，或者是你们在做交流的时候，你就心里有把尺，你知道如果你要 push 一个东西，你的底线在哪里，你到哪里，那估计人家就不会再妥协了。所以这样你事先有一个准备，你也不会说时场跑进去了以后，你会觉得哎呀自己什么东西都没有准备，你也不知道别人在想什么。然后最后一点呢，就是我觉得其实大家比较关注的就是说，在那种多人的情况下，我到底是不是要讲的话多一点，还是讲的话少一点。就是我个人，因为我不是一个特别外向的人，所以呢我也 第一个是我不太会主动的去讲很多话，第二个就是说我也不太会倾向于，就是我不觉得我自己一个是很厉害抢话的人，所以呢，我在 AC 里面呢，我的经验就是说，你不需要做那个话最多的人，并且通常情况下，那个话最多的人不一定就会是能进到下一轮的人。其实你主要的还是要就是说你要注意聆听，我觉得这个过程是很重要的。你要在听别人在说什么，然后以及你要发言的时候，你要在你觉得合适或者是说关键的时候发言，就是你要走那种不鸣则已，一鸣惊人的那种路线，我觉得就可以了。就是不用话是最多的，然后你发现这话抢不到没关系的，不用也抢不到就算了，也不用真的在那边去抢，主要就是比较自然，然后你知道你自己要讲的东西是什么就可以了。所以以上就是我能想到的，根据我的经验能分享给大家的东西。然后呢，希望对大家来说比较有用。然后呢，希望大家也可以在来临的时候找到就是不管是实习还是正式工都能有好的 offer。然后我有把我的联系方式放在这边，如果大家想要在 LinkedIn 上面跟我 connect， 或者是有其他的什么问题，也可以联系我。谢谢大家。
好的，特别感谢赵学姐，然后这一顿就是又特别风趣，然后又干货特别多的分享。那么在我们进入到就是邀请下一位学姐分享之前呢，非常高兴的跟大家宣布，就是我们的 Jax 学长终于加入到了我们的会议当中。那我们现在先邀请 Jax 学长来跟我们分享他的经验吧。
Hello， 听得见吗？
可以的，可以的。
就是我是来新加坡比较早，然后所以大部分的学术还有就是专业这些名词都是用英文学的，所以中文不是很给力，所以我就换成英文可以吗？还是？
可以的，可以的，没问题。
All right, okay. So maybe I'll just give a quick introduction of myself. So I graduated from NUS Business School in 2019. Yeah, and then before that I went NOC, so did a 1-year internship in New York. Before I finished my last semester. So pretty much when I graduated, I had I think 2 internship experience, not super relevant to what I'm doing now. But basically, I wanted to get into investment banking. Then to start off, so after I graduated, I did an internship in a corporate finance boutique for Abacus Capital, and then I was offered like a traineeship in TC Capital. So basically the arrangement was if I don't screw up during the 3 months, they're gonna convert me to full time. So that was there in January 2020. That was, if you guys remember, that was COVID, right? So basically 1 month in, I think I heard the associate mentioning that they're probably gonna have a hiring freeze, right? So getting a bit nervous. And then just nice at the same time, one of my friend from NUS, same batch. So his previous boss in BNP Paribas, basically the director, left to start his own startup, which is the company I'm currently working in called Capita. Right, so you say, okay, they're starting something new. They are looking for someone with like a corporate finance analyst kind of experience. Are you interested? So I went to take an interview, and yeah, so that pretty much. So that's my first job until now. So I've been with them for close to 3 years. So pretty much. So I think for me, I didn't really go through the standard kind of interview process. It's pretty much just one lunch chat. Didn't really have a technical interview either. You just didn't just give me the job. So I was employee number 6 in the company. Okay, not counting the 3 co-founders, so I'm actually technically employee number 3. I was the first employee in Singapore. And then right now, globally, I think we have close to 300 people. So it's been quite a roller coaster for the past 3 years. So I just maybe make it a bit structured. So what we do, right, Capita, essentially we are a fintech startup, right? So we are in the equity management space. So we work very closely with venture-backed startups. So be it the founders themselves, or be it CFOs, or be it the CHRO. CHRO is Chief Human Resource Officer, right? So essentially, we help them manage their, or rather they use the software we built to manage the cap table. So cap table stands for capitalization table. So for private companies, essentially that sort of is basically the table shows who owns how much in the company, right? So then that's one. We also help them manage employee stock option plans. So these days, by virtue of being startup, you are competing for talents who can very well find a job in Google or Facebook or Amazon, right? Why should they work for you if you can't afford to pay? So the one way for companies to basically attract and retain talents to give them options, employee stock options. So essentially, if the company does well in the future and it gets acquired or have a big exit, then you receive a huge paycheck because you are sort of a partial owner in the company. You can participate in equity outside as well. So we help them manage the employee stock option plan. So the third thing our software help them do is to run liquidity programs. So essentially these days, companies are staying private longer and longer, right? So you can think of, I think in the early 2000s, companies average take about 3 to 5 years to go public, where these days, especially in Southeast Asia, companies are staying long private for average 10 to 12 years, 10 to 15 years basically. You can think of Gojek, Grab in this part of the world. And then the largest private company, ByteDance, which is the holding company for TikTok, right? This is still private. They are worth like more than 100 billion, larger than a lot of the Fortune 500 companies, but it's still private. So the problem is most of the employee stocks will get vested across 3 to 4 years. So what that means is you're gonna have a lot of employees with vested options. So on paper, you could be a millionaire, right? Because the company is so valuable, you have some stock options. But then these are not cash, so you can't use these, options to buy a house or buy a car. So one of the problems we're helping founders to solve is to help them design and structure liquidity programs. So that's that. So that's basically on the equity management side. We also are building what we call capital marketplace. So essentially that's for secondary market trading. So essentially it's for basically for companies who have a certain early stage angel investors who want to exit their position, or employees who like to exercise their options, get shares, and sell the shares to other investors. So we sort of play like a deal making, matchmaking kind of marketplace offering there. So pretty much that's what Capital does. And what I do in the company is, when I joined the company, that was almost 3 years ago. So when we started off, before we raised our seed round, we basically, to fund our operations, we still have a few corporate finance mandates. So basically capital raise, M&A deals, small ticket size. So basically Series B, 20 to 25 mil kind of deal size. And then so that was basically pretty much corporate finance. So I just build financial models, build pitch deck for build IMs. IM is information memorandum. So it's basically so pitch deck is what investment banks and corporate finance houses use to actually win the mandate in the first place. So that's towards your potential client. And then IM is after the mandate is closed, is also a presentation. So information memorandum is used to help the client to find its potential seller, buyer or seller, depends on you represent buy side or sell side. So pretty much. So I was basically doing that for I think close to half a year. Then afterwards we somehow raised our seed round. So the founders are quite well connected because they've been bankers for almost 20 years. So after that, basically I moved towards. So then we moved towards basically start to launch a beta product of Capital platform in September, August 2020. So then I basically looking after product development and then also look after basically initial set of business development process, and afterwards customer success. So that's then. And then slowly as the team grows, my role evolved into basically head of operations and also founders office. So essentially what I do these days is I look at basically setting up processes to make sure what we do across business development, across customer success, across ongoing kind of governance support is scalable, and then basically setting up SOPs for stuff. So that's that. So that's basically head of operations. The founder's office, essentially like a chief of staff kind of role. So I also handle investor relations in Capita. So our quarterly board meetings, monthly MIS. Okay, again, MIS stands for Management Information System. So it's just basically like a set of financials and also KPIs that you need to keep updated internally and externally. So that's that. Then I also look after certain strategic initiatives, like any inorganic kind of corporate development kind of initiative. So I think 3 months ago we acquired a company in India. So those are the things basically I work on. So pretty much everything. Basically, that's my current role. So basically for internship, I mean, I didn't really go through a standard process where you complete assessment online and then you go for a super day, and then afterwards meet your team and the directors. Didn't really go through that process. So from my end, I'll just share what I think is pretty much the most important from finding, be it internship or be it full-time job. So I think the first one, of course, is network, right? So basically, if you know the right people, like all these assessments and interviews, those are mostly like formality, right? Like in the context of let's say a bank, if you somehow get connected to the director and then build good rapport, and then also basically if they sort of like you, and then of course your academic performance have to be cannot be too shit. But sorry, pardon the language. But yeah, so in those cases, the least you can have is an interview, and then it's up to you to impress whoever interviews you, and then proceed on with your application. So first one, most important is network. Basically, be it through LinkedIn or be it through your own seniors who graduated from school, who are working in companies you want to join. Just started building their app. It's less so of asking them for a job. It's more like you keep in touch and ask them for advice, and then so on and so forth. So when the right time comes, you might ask them for a small favor, etc. Then so that's first most important. I think second will be a relevant experience, right? So these days when we interview candidates, so we have a bunch of competitors. So if someone who works actually for a competitor, they're looking to join us, right? Then we don't even look at the CV. Definitely we'll get him an interview or her an interview because it's super relevant to what we do. So in similar context, you have really super relevant experience with good branding on your resume, then that definitely helps with you moving forward with your application. The second, I think the lastly importance is your grades. I think these days, I think a lot of these people, is a uni dropout, or his studies is not good, but it's very. So you see, before you do your first, after you get your first full-time job, whatever is on your transcript doesn't matter anymore. But before that, your academic performance is only source of information where the company can decide how good you are at where your job, right? So in a way, it's how you do everything's how you do anything. So basically, they know whatever you learn in school, like 90% of what I learn in school is useless in what I do now. Most of the stuff you learn on the job, both the hard and soft skills. But before you graduate, right, you don't have a full-time job. And then also, let's assume you don't have relevant internship experience. How do they know whether you are, effective and then have the persistence, determination? Is from your grades, because everything is bell curve, right? So given the competitive, the high competition in the NUS, if you can graduate with a good grade, that means at least for the 4 years, you worked hard and you showed up, basically. So that's quite important. All else being equal, of course. But yeah, so these are the three. I think from my end, that's that. The rest, I don't think. I'm not sure whether I can add much value. So I think in terms of interview, basically, just in terms of preparation. So there's basically two aspects. So I just brought this to, broadly speaking, is technical interview, is fit interview, right? So for technical part, you really have to be good at what you do. So I don't really know any other majors, but my major was finance. So then if you say you're going finance, then you have to be really very good with all those corporate finance 101, with your accounting 101, etc. Because the moment they feel that you don't know what you're talking about, and the worst case is they can tell you don't know what you're talking about, but you try to just try to smoke your way through, that's not going to work. So technical foundation has to be super strong. So that's that. Then on the fit part, essentially is to see whether you can work well in the team. So that you also can do research basically on the company. So on the more fluff side of things, like the culture, you know, if it's a public company, you're not applying for their annual reports, is available online. Just download ahead, read up about company strategy, and then to see long term, right? Just ask yourself, is this where you want to be in 10 years time? And then if it is, where do you see yourself in 10 years time in the company? So that's helpful. And then lastly is, if you do know who your interviewers are and what level they're in, then it's good to connect them on LinkedIn, do a bit of research, and then try to find something useful about them. Like you find on this whole thing is basically trying to make them like you, right? So within like a short 1 hour session, they're never gonna know everything about you, right? So you just within a short time frame to make them basically like you, leave a good impression. So then afterwards they're gonna get in the team, they're gonna rate all the candidates. So if you can make an impression of someone, positive expression of course, positive impression, then you're gonna stand out from the rest of them. So it's more like an art and a science thing. So yeah, let me just see any other question I can. What are some blah 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 blah? Okay. Yeah. So for us at Capita, I mean, we are not really a big corporation, so we do hire financial analysts as basically we also do valuation in house. So we do need someone with like a financial modeling skills. So usually during interview, we'll ask a few technical questions. Then beyond that, for fit, from my end, because for us, we just want to make sure whoever we hire stays with the company, right? So these days, a lot of, you know, Singaporeans, locals are very, you know, prone to job hopping. So every 2 years you change job, Then from a company's perspective, that's very, you know, annoying. Basically, you spend so much effort and investment to train the people up, and then, you know, after 2 years they leave, and then it's, you know, hand over a bunch of work to a new person. So by and large, I just want to make sure they know what they're getting themselves into, and then we also know what we are getting into the company. So interview process from fit, usually I'll ask about what's their long-term sorry, I think it's a question. What was I saying? Yeah, basically the long-term career goals to make sure it's aligned, especially for junior hires, junior hires. Because most of the time, before you get your first job, most people, I'm not saying you guys, but most people don't exactly know what they want to do with their life, right? So it takes time to figure that out. So for early stage, at least we want to look for someone who at least have a bit of idea, or at least start thinking about where do they see themselves in 5 years, 3 years, or what kind of industry they want to work in. So that's basically from my side. Let me just 1 second. This is Karen. What are some skills my investment banking should learn? Oh, this one. So for IB, right, in Singapore is, I mean, if you're talking about bulge bracket, super competitive, right? So the you basically really have to get relevant internship experience. So the easiest, I think, to start off, I don't know which year you're in. If you're in year 2, you can consider those basically small boutiques. Just apply. So you can just Google online. So when I was doing my internship, I think I went to Google until page 30. So I put up an Excel spreadsheet, all the companies, who are the people in the company, add them on LinkedIn, ask them for coffee, and then build up a solid network, and then try to get your first internship. Once you have your first internship, then basically things get easier. So it's a progression. And then for investment banking, I think that one of the most easier one to get in is to try to get a Big 4 internship. Not relevant to actually what do, but just basically investment banking. If bankers, if you see you have one of the Big 4 in a corporate finance kind of practice on your resume, you probably can get at least first round of interview. So in terms of skills, all the soft skill part. So for hard skills, basically is financial modeling. So you have to, and then of course corporate finance 101. So I think philosophy major, you probably learn most of this stuff on your own actually online. So there's like, you know, Wall Street, Mogul, and then there's a bunch of these other websites you can use to basically, yeah. So for IB, that's pretty much the two. And also accounting, right? Corporate finance, accounting, and financial modeling. But yeah, hope that answers your question. Soft skill side, that apply to every other job, just basically the art of making people like you. Cool. What makes a good interview? I think for us, when we hire our junior analysts in Canada, for me, I'm very sensitive to their technical expertise, because if I can tell that they don't really know what they're talking about, then that means even if we like them, we're gonna spend a lot of time to train them once they join the company. So good interview, basically you should get at least 80% of the technical questions correct, right? So that's that. Then other than that, on the fee question, basically will leave a good impression if I can tell this candidate did his or her homework, right? If he or she can say something about the company, about the role, about her understanding, even if it's not correct, right? Because what we do is very niche. So that's pretty much a good interview. And then what advice will you give someone starting out in your field? My field is quite broad. I mean, basically I work in a startup, right? So that could be anything. Could be fintech, could be biotech, could be medtech, could be education tech, could be consumer product, could be anything. So tech as a whole, I think is a lot more receptive compared to the traditional IB or consulting kind of role. Basically you can have people are more receptive, and also startups. Again, the hard truth is startups don't pay very well, right? So it's not as competitive. So then, if you do decide, like say, startup is something you're interested in, the thing you should ask the most about, if actually it's early stage, ask for equity in the company, because that's where your upside is going to be coming from, not from your monthly cash salary. So that's that. Then for us, I think our past interns usually, if we are going to work in, let's say, in venture capital firm, that's very useful, because during the course of like internship here, let's say you do the spring or fall, which is 4 months, or summer for 3 months, you will basically in a short stint reading through hundreds of shareholder agreements, share subscription agreements, different kind of board resolutions, and then different kind of basically private market compared to public market instruments is very complex. Not complex, just very messy, right? Besides, so public companies, when they're listed, they only have ordinary shares or common shares. Private companies, you have different class of preference shares, like Series A, Series B. You also have convertible instruments like convertible notes, safe notes. And then if companies raise a venture debt, they also probably have warrants in the company as well. And then there's employee stock options. So it's very complex. So essentially, I would say, basically, if you are, in a way, if you want to get into, let's say, venture capital, then working in a startup, that will help. Or if you're looking to work in a startup yourself, that also helps. What skills have found most useful in a professional life? Do you have one? So what skills do I find most useful? So hard skills aside, right? Essentially, I think this very fluff thing is this topic called leadership. So in a way, it's not so much so that you sort of trying to put your hand up for everything. The leadership in organization essentially is how do you be an enabler in a company, right? So just give an example for the company. For example, the CEO, which is the helm of the entire organization, right? CEO don't need to do anything. If you think about it, everything can be outsourced. Everything finance outsourced to CFO. Everything operations, BD related outsourced to COO. Everything HR related outsourced to CHRO. So for him, there's only two things he can never ever outsource. One is basically be the voice of the company, right? And then basically handle the board, handle investor relations, and then looking after fundraise, etc. So that part to basically to represent the company externally. that you can have outsource. Second thing, can outsource is basically driving the people and culture in the company. So how does he make sure everybody do more with less? How do we make sure everybody is more effective? How does he put up processes and trainings in place so that people work well together? And then so using the example, right? Then whatever. So what essentially, if you join a company, I'm assuming you're ambitious. If you are there forever, where do you see yourself in 10 to 20 years? If CEO is a position you're going after, then what kind of skill set you require to basically make yourself into that position. So one of the things basically leadership. So basically, how do you be an enabler, team player, etc. In an organization like that? Because I think for internship, etc., you still work in very, very silo small teams, like maybe four or five people. But like now I have to work across hundreds of people. So most of the time I don't really do anything. I have to get people to get things done. So why should they listen to me? I'm like only 3 years into my career. I have to work with guys who are like 20, 30 years older than me. That's like very difficult to get things done. So how do you lead people who are right? You only can build an organization, build a company by hiring people who are smarter and more competent than you. Then by that virtue, how do you then get someone who's smarter and more experienced than you to listen to you? So that's basically what I call leadership. It is the art that I have to master in my professional life, personally. Then what skills have you found most useful for the current upcoming challenges in your industry field? Yeah, pretty much. I think that's some sort of related to the earlier one. Like in my role, I'm only 3 years in the company, so I have to manage people who are a lot more experienced and smarter than me. So that's very stressful at times because I really don't know what to do if they don't want to listen to me. So that's pretty much a challenge. Just into maybe read books, maybe talk to some other founders to get some advice. But yeah, cool. Sorry, I think I overrun.
好的，非常感谢学长的分享。其实还好。
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. So my name is, I think, on the thing. You should just search Jax Liu Jiawei. You can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to shoot me a message. I'm on LinkedIn, and then Oh, we're also looking for interns. But I have to be LOA, financial analyst intern, from January to April next year. So anybody here is keen, please do send me your CV. Thank you.
OK， 那请就是有这个实习意愿的同学可以在 LinkedIn 上面联系学长。非常感谢同学们热情的这个提问，然后也特别感谢学长无私的分享。那么因为时间的原因，我们现在有可能要先进行最后一轮的分享，然后要邀请我们今天的最后一位嘉宾，就是来自 JP Morgan 的金雪学姐。那么 JP Morgan 摩根大通公司作为一家领先的全球金融服务公司，也被称为9大投行之一。目前在全世界100多个国家都开展的业务领域覆盖非常广泛，主要包括 Asset and Wealth Management、Commercial Bank、Consumer and Community Bank、Investment Bank、Corporate Functions 和 Technology。静雪学姐是在今年毕业于国大的工商管理、会计和计算机科学的双学位专业。她现在在 JP Morgan 担任 Software Engineer 一职。同时呢，她也在不同的科技和金融机构中实习过，有着很多的经验。那么现在就让我们邀请静雪学姐来为我们分享。
OK， 等一下，我可能需要 share 一下 screen。好。你们听得到我说话吗？
可以的。
OK。然后我想先道个歉，因为我镜头虽然在这边，但是我电脑昨天坏掉了，所以我的那个现在屏幕是黑屏了，完全什么都看不到。然后我现在看的地方是我前面有一个 monitor， 所以可能就是有一点就是没有办法看镜头说话。然后可能刚才讲的是双学位嘛，然后其实不是双学位啊，我没有那么大神，是那个双主修，算是 double major，double degree 会多1年，然后当时也申请了，然后没有拿到嘛，然后后来所以现在就是以 double major 毕业的。然后我们现在来讲的话，其实刚毕业也才4个月而已，所以我觉得我可能 以分享人生经历来讲，可能还不是很够格，然后分享那个 career experience 也不是很够格，因为我也才工作2个月，所以我想我今天分享的那个重心可能就放在我之前实习的经历，或者是我是那个找毕业后的第一份工作的经历。OK， 然后我可能会英文为主，然后中文为辅来讲一下，因为平时做 presentation 讲英文讲的比较多一点。Okay, so a short introduction. So my name is Jingxue, and as of now, I'm a fresh grad software engineer at JP Morgan Chase & Co. And I graduated this year in July officially, and I graduated with a double major in accountancy and computer science. But a fun fact over here is that because the computer science major was an additional major I added on my own, it wasn't an official program offered by NUS. Like there wasn't this double major program offered by NUS officially. So because of this, on my degree scroll, there wasn't computer science stated. It was just Bachelor of Business Accountancy. So and I only know about this in year 4, and I was very sad because it's like I don't know, I took so much time to get a second major in computer science, but they're telling me like it's not going to be reflected in my degree scroll. There's like literally no proof that I did it except for showing people my transcripts. So because of this, I was very salty. So I decided to take a master's degree. And as of now, I recently got the offer for the master's also. I'll be joining NUS Masters of Computer Science in January. Yeah, but this will be a part-time master's that I'll be doing together with my software engineer position as of now. Yeah, so I think as of now, I will just talk about the internships I took during NUS, and I had a lot of like random internships along the way. They are all like in various different sectors. So I think if you also have like a very diverse skill set, or if you're looking to build a very diverse portfolio, maybe this will be helpful for you. Yeah, so for the timeline, I actually started my first internship very late. I only had it in year 3, Sem 1, at the end of year 3, Sem 1 in the winter. So that's just last year, January, 2021 January. And this was a software engineer intern at a startup, and it was only 5 weeks. So because of the short duration, I didn't manage to gain a lot of experience through this. And since it's a startup, a lot of the things that they are asking me to do was like pretty fundamental, very rudimentary, I would say. But another thing that I noticed from here is that it's actually harder to get into a startup as an intern compared to a bigger company. And this is actually told me, I was actually informed of this by my CEO at the time, the founder CEO. And he said that it's because like in startup, they don't really have a lot of time to train you or the resources. Since they are so short in time, right? They actually want to hire someone that can just straight away go in and get a job done, etc. But if you are interning in a bigger company, because they are like they have a lot more resources, they are more willing to teach you along the way. They are more willing to like help you grow as a person so that you will be more beneficial to the company later. But for startup, they simply don't have the time for that. So that's just like an interesting fact that I learned from this internship. And then following that, because I'm an accountancy bachelor, so I had to do a compulsory finance intern. And this was just like a very like a nice way to put it, but honestly, I was just doing paperwork. It was just there doing some data entry, doing some like reports, doing some dashboards for them. But ultimately, it was required for my graduation. I just have to like take it. Yeah. Then following that, I think the turn of my resume started in year 4, Sem 1. So I think that's when my resume started becoming a little bit better. And I started with a research assistant in NUS Business School. So even though it's a research assistant at NUS Business School, they were actually doing a project related to data analysis. So, and the lecturer I was working with, he knows how to code, but he simply do not have the time to do it. So that's why he just recruited me to help him do it. And through this actually helped me to learn a lot more things about automation, a lot of things about like data analysis. And this actually helped me to find my next internship, which is at Accenture. So this IT analyst internship at Accenture and the research assistant job, I actually had them together. And the reason is because I wasn't sure which one to give up, because one came after another, but then they both offered. So I was just like, it feels wrong to say no to either. So I just decided to say yes to both. And then after that, and then the Accenture one was very interesting because the HR messaged me on LinkedIn. So this is like a tip to actually build your LinkedIn profile, because some HRs actually do look for possible candidates on LinkedIn, especially if they are recruiting for an off-cycle internship. because off-cycle internships, there won't be as much competition or as much applicants. So they will probably, if they're really short of people, they'll be looking online. And then for this internship at Accenture is mainly for automation using Excel VBA, but it's also mainly focused on report generation. And my last internship will be year 4, Sem 1 winter. So that's the end of all my previous 2 internships. There was like literally no break. But then the reason why I decided to go for the EY internship was just because I was a Bachelor of Accountancy, but I've never interned in the Big 4 before. So I thought it's a pity to just graduate without any Big 4 experience. So I decided to just apply. But actually at the time of interning at EY, I already got offer from JP Morgan. And I told my manager on the first day also. So they knew that I'm not going to stay, but I think they were still very nice that they didn't just like leave me aside in the 5 weeks, knowing that I'm not gonna have a full-time offer there. But then they still tried their best to involve me in the projects, and they still tried their best to like teach me along the way. So I'm still very thankful for my experience over there. Yeah, so across all my internships, right, I think in conclusion, you can tell it's like a lot of them is very diverse and contrasting experiences. So for example, it's like software, which is IT, then somehow jump to finance, then jump to research, and then jump to IT again, and then jump to a business consulting again. So in terms of this, right, my resume is very, very messy because you can't tell from the resume what kind of position I'm looking for. You also cannot tell from the resume about like what do I want to do in the future, or like what kind of skill sets I have. It feels like I have a lot of things, but maybe I don't know any of them. Yeah, so I think the benefits of having such a contrasting resume is that because of the diverse skill sets, the interviewers actually became very curious about why I choose to have my resume this way, or why I chose to have my internships lined up this way. So I think a lot of the interviews that I go for, the interviewer, after looking through my resume, the first thing they will say is just like, so why did you choose our company? Since you only did a software internship before. That was for my finance interview. And then when I was interviewing for the consulting role, they also asked me the same thing, like you were in software, you were in IT, you were in research, then how come now jump to consulting? So I think a lot of this is a good icebreaker for the interviewers. And if the interviewer is interested in you or more get curious about you, I think that's also a bonus point because that will leave an impression for them. But the downsides of this is definitely just like, I'm really jack of all trades but master of none, right? So it's like you actually learn a lot through internships. But if all of your internships are in different fields, it becomes very limited as to how much you can learn from them. Like if you compare me with someone that has like maybe only three internships experiences, but all 3 are in software, they will definitely be much better in terms of technical knowledge because they get to apply their school knowledge more. They also got to like learn on the job a little bit more than me. So because of this, I think it was very difficult to get into a good tech company since that's the ultimate path I'm going for. And I think I know myself very well about this, so I didn't even dare to apply. I didn't apply to Shopee, I didn't apply to Grab or anything. And I wasn't even going to start working after graduation. Like after graduating from Bachelor, my goal was just to further my studies. So while I was doing the research with my lecturer, I think he was talking to me about it and he wanted me to be a PhD student under him. And I already said, okay. And I was like, gonna talk to him. And we also met other professors. We were like, okay, I'm gonna apply. But then on the day before I applied, I somehow got a call from JP Morgan. So I guess that didn't work out in the end. Yeah, but afterwards, I still felt very sad. So I decided to just take a master. So it's very difficult for me to let go of things if things that go out of plan. Like if I was intending to go into academia, then suddenly there's a job, then I just cannot really decide. Then I just decided to go both. I think that's a very bad thing about me also, because eventually I will start to overload myself too much. But I think for now, I hope it's still gonna work out for this time. Yeah. Okay. So now onto the interview process of JP Morgan and the past 2 months of work life. So the program that I'm in is called Software Engineer Program, and the position is like analyst position. So analyst is like a very entry-level position that you get when you are in an IP bank or like some other banks. Then this is a 2-year graduate program, and a graduate program meaning like everyone in my cohort are fresh graduates, which is very nice because since you are in a graduate program and the entire company is aware that you are in the graduate program, they are actually very forgiving when you make mistakes. And then they also are aware that you are still transitioning between school and work life. So they will give you a lot more time, and then they will be like basically be very, very patient with you when you are trying to learn along the way. Yep, and then for the completion of the program, even though it's a 2-year graduate program, I'm still having a full-time role, which means that there's no contract base. Completion of the program is just means the automatic promotion. So from analyst, you'll be promoted to an associate level. That'll be after 2 years of working experience. So the entire interview process or application is just started with a pymetric test, and the pymetric test is on your behavioral traits or personalities. It's not so much on your IQ or anything, but it's more like how do you behave in certain situations. So for example, like they will ask you something like, it's almost like gambling. They will say that if you give $1, you have 50% chance of getting $5 back, but 50% chance of getting none back. But if you give $10, then you get like different probabilities. Then they are trying to judge like, oh, how do you want to take risk, or are you very conservative, etc. And how generous are you? Like when you get a reward, do you want to share with other people? They also give you a scenario on that. So I think for this type of things, there's really no right or wrong answers for this. It's mainly just like they are trying to get to know you a little bit better. And then when they know you a little bit better, they will be able to assign you to your positions a bit better. Yeah, because for the software engineer program, everyone is recruited as a batch. Like they will recruit 40 people at one shot. But then after all of you are in the program already, then that's when they start to allocate you to your respective positions, like different teams, different projects. So because of that, right, if you sort of like, or try to pretend to be a different personality during the pymetric test, then maybe you will be put under a team that really do not vibe with you. Like really, what's that word called? 气场不合. If really no vibe, right, then you all really cannot work together, then you're just like suffering for 2 years. And it's like, there's really no way out of it. So the best way is still to be honest, so that it's the best for you and best for the company. Yeah. Then after the pymetric test, most people, like almost 100%, you will pass the pymetric. There's not like a way to filter you out unless you are really, really bad with it. Yeah. Then after the pymetric test, they will give you one take-home coding assessment, and it's conducted on higher view. There'll be 2 coding questions, and after one question, there'll be like 2 minutes for you to record yourself explaining your thought process. And after then that's when they'll start the timer for the second question. So the time in the 2 questions do not carry over. And for this, I didn't manage to get 100% for it. And the reason was like for the second question, the harder one, I actually did everything in intermediate. So it's like when you're doing a math question, you had all the steps in the middle, but you just didn't calculate the final answer. So that was what happened to me. And that was caused like my laptop broke down at the time again. So it was also like, it was very, very laggy, etc. But I explained the entire thought process in the video afterwards, and I think they actually went in to look at the code because I still managed to advance. So they probably looked into the code and then realized that most of the skeleton of the solution is there. It's just that it wasn't linked up together nicely. So they still advanced me. Yeah. So and then the last step, which will be an in-person interview with the interviewer, is one-on-one interview, but there's actually 2 rounds. They call it the motivational round and the technical round. So it's like the motivational round is like asking you why you want to join the company, and what do you expect from this program, and how do you react in certain situations, etc. And another technical is when they probably will go through your resume, say like, what's your experiences previously? And if you noted something down in your resume, they'll ask you questions on like, you mentioned you used this software before, but how did you use it, etc., etc. And these 2 interviews are actually combined in the same day. So it's 1.5 hours each. So it'll be 1.5 hour motivational, 15 minutes break, and then 1.5 hours again. So it was a very tiring day. Like even though they put it as 2 rounds, they put it in the same day. I also don't really understand why they decided to do that. So it was very, very tiring, and the sun actually set by the time I finished my last interview. And then after that, I waited for about 1 month, and I finally got the offer on 3rd December through a HR call. Yeah, so this is the entire application and the interview process. And since I started work on 15th of August, so that's 2.5 months from now, and it had like 2 weeks of technical training. So the real time that I was on the job is only less than 2 months. And the technical training is also hackathon style in the sense like they will let everyone else in this program to work on a project together. And the project is the same every year. And then the main goal for this is actually just for you to get to know your batchmates a little bit more, and also for you to maybe experience the JP Morgan work style, because when you're pushing the code or when you're doing something, sometimes you need to follow the JP Morgan standard in terms of coding or in terms of like the formatting, etc. All this is just for you to get familiar with that. And then after that, as of now, even until now, I'm still watching lecture videos or training videos from them. They're just like trying to send me batches and batches of videos for me to watch and say like, you just need to watch this, get to know about this software, and then later on you'll be using it. So as of now, I'm very, very chill. There's nothing exciting happening except for maybe 2 automation projects that I did. I think it was 2, and the one is still ongoing also. So, but then my entire job scope involves like doing automation. Yeah, so I intend to just switch out of this team after 1 year, because in JP Morgan, they allow you to do internal mobility every year. So it's like after 1 year of experience in this role, you are allowed to switch to another team in another role, and then just like carry on your next year there. It's like sort of, not say encouraged, but it's like a common practice in the teams so that you can like learn a little bit more along the way. And especially when you are under a software engineer program, since you have the 2 years to learn when people are very, very forgiving about you, I think it's important to switch the teams and then to learn like different things and get new experiences also. Yep, so I think now I'll just talk a little bit more on interviews, like all the past interviews that I did, and like just in general what I think about like what makes a good interview. Yeah, so some questions I encountered was like, firstly, definitely they will ask me to explain or elaborate on the CV. So from this, I think it's important for you to know what you are writing on the CV. And sometimes it gets like, you kind of get like lost, you kind of like lose track on what you wrote on the CV, especially when some of the experiences occurred like maybe 2 years ago, since it's on work experience. So because of this, I think it's important for you to like read through your CV prior to interviews to know what you wrote there, what the interviewer is seeing, so that you can prepare for some questions and to avoid the interviewer from thinking that you are just like bluffing on your CV as well. And also like a lot of the questions are also like, what do you think could be a possible solution of this problem? And this, it was during my JP Morgan interview. I think at the time JP Morgan was under a scandal. I think they were asking me like, oh, if this scandal happens, what do you think we can do to mitigate the situation or like to get out of this scandal? But at the time during the interview, I didn't know that was this scandal. It's after the interview, then I searched and I realized what they asked me was an actual scandal. Yeah, so I think from here, maybe you can try to like research a little bit about the company more. Don't be like me, just going blindly, and just like know more about the company, know more about what happened in the company, so that it also shows that your sincerity to join the company. And then I think it will avoid yourself from like looking totally stunned during the interview also. And lastly, it's about like, what do you expect to get out of this program? It's like a lot of the things for this type of program, like for example, the JP Morgan program, they're actually very learning based. They expect the people inside to learn, and then after 2 years become like a full-time at JP Morgan, right? So I think they will want to know what's your expectation from this program, and that also sort of helps them to allocate you to your respective positions. Like maybe if you expect to gain technical knowledge, they'll put you to a very, very intense role, etc. Or maybe you expect to hone your communication ability a bit more, then maybe they'll put you in a team that needs to like maybe talk to stakeholders. Then in conclusion about what I think makes a good interview, I think this is the last slide that I have. I think firstly, it's important to be genuine, even though you should like prepare for interviews. So it's like you should think about the possible questions they will ask, and then come up with the possible solutions or possible answers that you're going to say, so that you don't like stutter on the spot. But I think it's also important for you to stay original, because you can write your answers, but you can prepare your answers, but the answer to prepare should still be genuine and should still be you. So you can stand out by just being you yourself. You can try to hide certain bad things about yourself, definitely, but you should still try to like find out what is good about you, and then you just need to show that to the interviewer. And then it's also try not to smoke too much. Like it's okay to smoke a little bit, but if you smoke too much, my experience is that the interviewers can tell, especially if the interviewers are pretty young also. They probably went through the same mentality or same mindset that they know how people sometimes will smoke on their resume, etc. So just still keep the genuine level like very high. And also I think you should also be quite confident, even though it's not, oh, I'm sorry, I received a chat. Oh, never mind, sorry, it's the MC. Okay, so gonna end soon. Wait, let me. Okay, then for confidence level, I think it's also very important, because I've watched my friends like doing Zoom interviews before, because I was just nice in the same room. Then for what I noticed of that friend is that he was not very confident in the answers. Like his answers are actually correct, but then when he says it, he'll just be like, maybe, like he says it in a very slow tone or like a very uncertain way. So even though he answered all the questions correct, he didn't manage to advance. So I think, that's what I think about being confident. So it's like, if you are gonna give an answer, you should be very certain of the answer. Like you don't try to make it sound like you are just like guessing. So because if the interviewer feels that you are guessing, even though you got it correct, right, they may not advance you, or they may not like give you the proper credit for that. Yeah. Then also practice is also very important. I think before going for interviews, or if you have a big interview coming up, you should try to maybe practice with your friends or with your career advisors, so that you will know, so that you will get into the mindset of interview faster, and you won't get the stress from like going into an interview all of a sudden. And lastly, I think it's like, don't be afraid to actually admit your shortcomings, because I think this one depends on the different person's like interview style. But for me, I'm like very, very honest in my interviews, like almost too honest, a bit brutal. So it's like, if you ask me what's my shortcomings in the interview, I actually will give you an honest answer. And then sometimes if you ask me a question that I forgot about, like a technical question that I forgot about, I will just say I forgot about it. Yeah, but then I remember, I'll tell them that I remember I learned about it in school, but unfortunately I forgot about it today. Like I think this one is very like personal style based or personality based, but I think it's okay for you to admit your shortcomings, especially if your shortcomings are like very, very obvious. So for example, in my resume, the main shortcoming I get is that I don't have a lot of experiences in tech. My degree is also it's also not a tech degree, it's a business degree with a major in computer science. So I'm usually like very honest upfront, and like to like address the elephant in the room very early, so that later on they will not penalize me for like not knowing things, because they already know that I told them, you know, I'm not going to know everything. Yeah, so I think this part is also quite important. And then it also adds a little bit of like, when you are very honest, I think people will like you a little bit more. So yeah, so it's like depends on the interviewer, of course, but I think it doesn't hurt to tell a little bit of truth about yourself. Yeah, so that's all I'm gonna share today. So if there's any questions, you can just let me know. These are my Telegram, LinkedIn, and Instagram. You can find me there. Usually I will reply. That's all.
谢谢学姐的分享。